You are live, you are live.
There you see us, everyone. Hello. My name is James Henry. David is on camera, and as you can see from this quite magnificent shot created by Wing Commander Connor Teagues, we are standing here, or sitting rather, on quarantine clearings. And you can see that summer has not quite taken a full hold here. I was astounded yesterday by the picture we had of this area yesterday from the drone. It does look so much drier than it feels. We had some good rain last night, so I'm sure that you can see the soil is a slightly darker hue of brown than it was yesterday. And hopefully it will turn slightly more green during the course of the day. Isn't this an awesome picture? So that's the mast there. You can see that's where the signal is reaching you from. And you can see this cold and blustery day. Well, it's not cold, but it is kind of blustery, and perhaps a little bit more rain in the offing a bit later on. And that will be quite exciting, I must say. What you can't see from there, of course, is a couple of guinea fowl knocking about here on quarantine, but otherwise there's not much else going on here, other than the general magnificence of the drone, at least not the drone, the general magnificence of the African morning. So there we have some guinea fowl, a little flock that has spent the night. Look at them chasing each other around. They really are quite ridiculous birds. They would have spent the night in one of the tall trees here, hoping to avoid something like a genet climbing up and grabbing one of them, or an African wildcat, or even a leopard. And it's leopards that we are going to go and try and find today. We're going to head down towards the south of the reserve. Now, please do talk to us over the course of the next 3 hours. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. Those are the two methods of communicating with us. No other method will work, I'm afraid. At this stage of the game, one day we will teach the directors how to use Morse code, but until then, I'm afraid it is just Twitter and email. That is how you must ask us your questions or give us your comments. Let's talk about Africa, let's talk about South Africa, let's talk about the wild, conservation, wilderness, anything to do with those sorts of things. It'd be lovely to hear from you over the course of the next 3 hours. Out on the other vehicle, Brent Leo Smith is being filmed by Jean-Dre. You would have seen them doing the pre-show to the show. And then out on foot a little bit later, Tayla McCurry will be walking about with Herbert, and I'm not sure who's filming them. I think Brian Joubert, the giraffe-like figure of Brian Joubert, will be filming them later on. Okay, let's make a little bit of a move down towards the south of the reserve. Marvelous. Now, everybody, you're going to come with us on a little drive. But you're going to pretend that you're a Batelier eagle and that you've spotted something nice on the back of this car, perhaps the snack that David has brought for himself. And there you can see us. Luckily I washed my hair this morning, David. Otherwise you'd be able to see my dandruff from this angle. We do seem to be heading into a sort of thick Scotch mist down towards the southeast. You might be able to see that from where you're looking. So that'll be quite interesting. I wonder how the drone copes flying through cloud. Connor seems to have lost us now. I mean, he's an inexperienced wing commander at this stage, so it will take him a little while to figure exactly out how to follow us. I can see him. Connor, you're off to the right-hand side. There, I can see you now. You're heading towards... I tell you, watching this drone coming, there are these bright sort of red lights coming. It feels a little bit like... I imagine it feels a little bit like it did when you were wandering along and some aeroplane of ill content came over you during a conflict of some sort. But we know that Wing Commander Connor is very friendly and that the drone is not going to mean us any harm. Hello! I don't suppose you can see me waving at that angle. But we'll just slow down a little bit so that Connor can get a bit closer to us. Now this all, everybody, is in preparation, of course, for our television shows. and we're doing a series of 8 weeks from the 1st of January, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Nat.Geo Wild. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're also doing a show on the 15th or so of this month. 15th of this month, that's me waving like a complete imbecile. There we go, let's get back onto the car before we do some harm. Right, well, that was an excellent start with the drone, I would think, don't you think? Such a lovely way to view the wilderness. Now, of course, for those of you who are perhaps a little inexperienced about all of this, the drone has been used extensively in the past, and we've had to do various things in order to get it up and running again, not least of which is license it, because there have been so many hundreds of different drones. But wait until we follow wild dogs on the hunt or find some elephants or something like that. It's the most amazing way to watch the wild. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith, who of course has a different perspective on the world than I do, being a head taller.
Yes, fortunately it means I can see all the stumps in front of me. Good morning, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Jean-Ray on camera with me today. We also have an interviewee on the back by the name of Desmond. There's Desmond. So we are looking for the Nkahuma Pride that we left them lying up with that magnificent sky behind them last night. Lightning striking. We did have a little bit of rain last night. Not much, I'd say between 5 and 10 mils. Remember, this is a live safari. So I could go around the corner and there's not a lion today, but there could be. That's the point. And remember, if you want to ask us any questions, use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the email address questions@WildEarthTV. So now I've checked around Sydney's waterhole. I've checked the main access road up towards the gate. No sign of the lions. We're going to head towards last position, but it could be quite difficult with the amount of rain. It's just enough to obscure those tracks if they were moving during the rain that my eyes are going to have to be on fine fettle today to spot them. Hopefully they misstepped in a piece of mud so I can see a nice distinct track to start, so I don't have to start looking for obscure scrapes in the sand. Hopefully they haven't gone back to the west. Hopefully they are still residing on Djuma today. But of course, the wonderful thing after the rain, the bush has got this wonderful, clean, fresh smell, and we could get some nice butterflies. Fortunately, today I remembered a pen, so we can work through our butterfly checklist. Okay, no obvious lion tracks in that little patch of mud, so off we continue. Quite muggy this morning. You can see there's quite a lot of moisture sitting in the air around the horizon. So there we go, you can just see looking a little bit damp. I don't think it's going to rain. I just think it's some mist left over. And I don't know, I'm in two minds. I thought earlier that the clouds might dissipate with the burning African sun. I mean, it was a scorcher yesterday. It went over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But I'm not sure. Are we going to have a cloudy day? I think we're going to have mist in the morning, and I think it's going to clear by the end of safari. Hopefully it clears to bright sunshine, and every butterfly that's been waiting will pop out and flutter by. We've got to check very carefully. A very good morning to Lisa in New Orleans. Lisa says we get spectacular storms in New Orleans, but we also get hurricanes and tornadoes. Do we get any of those here? Fortunately, we just get really big storms, Lisa. I think occasionally, very occasionally, sort of once every 50 years, there's a hurricane in the Karoo, in not this part of South Africa, but the other. But other than that, we're actually quite stable when it comes to weather and things like that. We don't have hurricanes, we don't have tornadoes, and we don't have earthquakes too often. No, sorry, I just heard a Francolin alarm call. What's that in the gap of that quarry? Is that a damp termite mound?
Which quarry?
That one. It's there. It is a damp termite mound. I thought it could be a slightly damp lion, but it is not. Okay, I saw some tracks here, but I'm pretty sure it was Howard the hyena. Indeed, it is hyena tracks. Of course, the Howard is not the hyena's name. It is just my generic nickname for all hyenas. So we left the Inkahumas lying up in the open here on the right last night. That's where they were snoozing. They are not snoozing there anymore. Now, while we search for the largest cat on the African continent, James has got some birdies to show you.
Oh, it's a little family, everybody. You can just see the little ones there. I think you can just maybe see the little ones there. Oh, there we go. So 4 crested Francolins, Mum, Dad, Johnny and Jenny. They're off on their Saturday morning Christmas shopping, I think. I hope they have a good time. Isn't that sweet? A little family out for a stroll on Saturday morning. I think that's wonderful. There are quite a lot of birds around here. A redback shrike. We saw a brown-hooded kingfisher. We saw a great go-away bird going quack and having a drink. So we're going to drive very slowly. There's a woodpecker up there, David. Do you see it? Are you able to film it at this angle? There we go. Little Cardinal woodpecker. Looks a bit, well, dishevelled as a result probably of an evening trying to escape the rain. I wouldn't say this is the Cardinal woodpecker's best angle. That's probably why it's flown off. Anyway, that was a Cardinal woodpecker, so named for the Cardinal's cap that it has on the back of its head. Now, a very nice question from you, Matthew, in Michigan, and I don't know the answer exactly. You say we've been talking about migratory birds and birds that come and go. You want to know if any from North America come here. As far as I know, birds that end up sort of on the eastern edge of the Atlantic, in other words, ones that have come across that way, have got lost. They don't do it by default, I think. And one of the obvious ones would be the American golden plover. There's a lovely view of a yellow-billed hornbill, and I will find you a picture of the American golden plover. And I think that it was found here once or twice, and we're pretty sure that it was kind of blown off course on whatever migration it was. It's eating, oh, that's amazing. It's eating the bushman's grape, or the mbezana tree, the one that tastes like your roast chicken lunch mixed in with the custard and apple crumble pudding. Let me just try and find you this bird. Right, so there are a few birds that have ended up here. These are the vagrants that we get here. The greater yellow legs has come from the Americas, but there are probably just 1 or 2 records. Let me just check. Yeah, a wanderer, it says, from the Americas. So every so often we'll see the greater yellow legs, but always, if we go to the map here, Dave, on the sort of western coast of South Africa, and that one was seen around Cape Town. I'm sure it hasn't been back since. Definitely, you know, Cape Townians don't like people that are strange to them, so it probably didn't come back. This one breeds in Canada, for example, the Hudsonian godwit. I don't know why Hudsonian godwit is such an amusing bird, But that's it there. But it says here a few South African records, but quite possibly the same individual that's come back to these shores a few times. The Kentish plover, I'm not sure where that comes from there. It doesn't say. And then I just wanted to find... Well, from tormented zombie owl, we've gone to something slightly more terrifying. The zombie cow. At the zombie cow, good morning to you. One cannot but think of Gary Larson and the Far Side comics when one thinks of the zombie cow. I'm sure that's probably where you got it from. Zombie cow, in fact, your name has been so astounding to me that I've forgotten what question you have. I think your question was, are both male and female birds normally the same color? It's probably about 50-50. You'll find that about 50% of birds are not sexually dimorphic and 50% of the birds are. So 50% will look the same and 50% will not. Right, I think that's kind of it. These are all the birds that we kind of get here as what they call rare vagrants, and those would be the ones that come across from the United States, normally by mistake. I just wanted to check once more for that plover, and so what I'm saying to you is that no bird will by default make the crossing over the Atlantic. I think largely the biggest sea that they cross is the Mediterranean. Yes, absolutely, birds will travel from, of course, the northern Atlantic all the way to the southern Atlantic, at least from the North Pole to the South Pole, almost. But they do that via land, or they have to be birds that can stay in the air for a hugely long time, like an albatross or something like that. But by default, no. Here they are. I mean, a lot of these things, these funny little sandpipers, will come from the United States, but they are very rare, vagrant shorebirds, they're described as. Right, I think that's quite an extensive discussion on that subject, and perhaps we shall move on from it. Now African grey parrots, Diane, you say, do we ever see them? I have seen a number of them, Diane. Unfortunately, they've all been in captivity. An African grey parrot is found in the Congo Basin, so they're a forest species that you'll find up in the forests of the Congo Basin of Central Africa. You wouldn't find them here. There are a number of South African parrot species. We get the Cape parrot, the grey-headed parrot, the Mayo's parrot, and of course over here the brown-headed parrot. But the African grey, which is about that big, occurs in enormous flocks in the Congo Basin, and unfortunately the only thing that threatens it is our idiocy as a human species. We capture them and then sort of sell them off as pets. Many of them, of course, have been raised in captivity, but they only occur where it's much wetter. There's some incredible pictures. If you Google pictures of African grey parrots in the wild, massive flocks of them, sort of 50 or 60 birds coming down to the waterholes, or the bays as they call them, which are the clearings in the Central African rainforests. It's really quite astounding to have such a number of those birds. But no African grey parrots here. Well, we're going to attempt to find a leopard this morning, as I said, but I do think that it's probably unlikely, because they seemed to head south with a purpose yesterday, indicating that they may well have a kill. Let us go and find out how Brent Leo Smith's search for the pug marks of the Nkuhumas are, and I just wanted to say to you that all 6 cubs obviously were found yesterday. I hadn't seen them since the 2 went missing at Buffelshoek Dam, so all is okay there. Let's go and find out if Brent's found them yet.
We've stopped looking for lions. We're over lions. Wild dog tracks. So I'm going to get hold of James. I think he's near Buffelshoek. He needs to head up towards the Sydney's Dam area. These tracks look like they're going... Oh dear. Sorry about that. That's bushwalk alarm. Okay, so tracks are going into Djuma. I just want to make sure. They could have just stopped here for a scent mark, and then... There we go, perfect scent mark. Come on, go this way. Go this way. We're also listening in case the dogs get separated for that wonderful woo call. Woo, 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 woo. Not seeing any tracks here, so let's just go back. I'm not smelling them, so they haven't passed here within the last 10 minutes or so, maybe a little bit earlier. So there's tracks of at least 2 dogs. They met over here. And they're both coming here. Now it's the one problem. Oh, there's more tracks behind the vehicle. Sorry, I'll be back in a second, Jean. They're going into Djuma. Okay. Time, as you know, time is of the essence with the African wild dog. Oh dear. Clippity clip, clip, clip. No, let's take it this way. So they're all around here. Dogs can move up and down. I'm just going to double check they haven't been sort of moving quite to this road. Let me just try to keep up with the dog tracks. Let's go see what James is up.
We're coming down towards the southern end of the reserve into this kind of thick weather above our heads. We don't know, of course, whether it's going to rain again. I would be very excited if it did, I must say. David, there's a bird up there. He doesn't look so happy to be out in the morning, hoping for some sun to dry its feathers. It is, of course, everybody a starling. And it is either a greater blue-eared glossy starling or a Cape starling. Cape glossy starling. Go ahead, Brent. Brent is hailing me on the radio. And we know that from its yellow eye and its size. The only other thing it could possibly be would be a Burchell starling, but it is most certainly not a Burchell starling given its yellow eye. Brent, go ahead. Leo Smith, quite interestingly, he's in a slightly difficult signal area, but he's got tracks of wild dogs. Copy that, thanks. Keep me posted. Which is very nice coming towards this sort of area, so we'll keep our eyes open. We know, of course, that Brent Leo Smith and I both like wild dogs quite a lot. And Vulpine Wolf Girl, with certainly an astounding Twitter handle, you make a very good point, and you're absolutely right, and we've done it before. You say wild dogs and a drone would be fantastic. It is incredible. We had a lovely sighting one morning where I was following them through the bush, and it became impossible to see them from our angle. We sent the drone up, and you could see the dogs moving through what looks like a very thick area from up here, at least from where we're sitting at this angle, but from on top looked much clearer. And as the dogs moved, you could see the vehicle trying to find them, and it was the most wonderful way to watch them on the hunt. Also, because we weren't that close in the vehicle, they could use their ears to hunt, and I think they use their ears a huge amount to hunt, so the drone is actually a very good way of watching them without disturbing the way they're moving and their ability to communicate. Just going to drive a little bit faster. We've come to the southern boundary. Now, of course, after this rain, very difficult to see what went up in the evening. But if we've got wild dog tracks, the chances are they've been moving after the rain. So during the course of, as it got light, they would have started to move. So with any luck, we'll have some of them sometime soon. But seeing whether those leopards have come across or not is going to prove slightly difficult unless they moved fairly recently. Alright, this is the southern boundary of our traversing area. In case you're a new viewer and you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, what I mean is that due to human property laws, we cannot go to the right, but we can go to the left. The animals, of course, are free to come and go as they please. and that's throughout the 3.5 million hectare, 8.5 million acre Greater Kruger National Park, and into the Limpopo National Park of Mozambique and the Gonarazoo National Park of Zimbabwe. Yes, Michael, very good question, but I think it extends into all the other animals as well. You say, where have all the buffalo gone? The buffalo, Michael, have gone the way of the elephants. They have gone the way of, I think, many of the water buck. They've gone the way of various other species. And what that means is they've moved off to where it has started raining. We had a tremendous concentration of animals on this tiny patch of land. I mean, tiny is relative, of course. The expanse of Greater Kruger, because we had. I'm just going to stop here. We had isolated early rain, which meant there was a flush of green on Djuma that there wasn't anywhere else in the Sabi sand, and that meant that everything came up here. And for about a month, we had such a wonderful time with the animals that we had here. Now, what's happened, of course, is that most of the eaten off Djuma it has flushed there, and that's off to the standing water and the green flush at other areas.
We do apologize. We have had a bit of rain, lightning and thunder. So Alex and the tech crew are busy trying to sort out the problem. Hopefully you're with us now. So we're still in search of those wild dogs. The tracks don't seem to come out on Impala Road, and they might head back towards the west. I'm just trying to get hold of the guys in the western sectors and see if they've got any update. But it definitely looks like they haven't come deeper into Djuma, which is very sad, for me at least. But you never know. That's the joy of wild dogs. They might pop up anywhere. Incredible creatures, incredibly fast creatures, capable of maintaining 65 kilometers an hour for up to 8-9 kilometers. So they can be through Djuma in a matter of minutes. Now, we just immediately went to check the big herd of impala that was at Sandy Patch. They look all very relaxed, so the dogs definitely didn't go that way. So far, just hyena tracks in this area. Good morrow, Fuzzman Sparkles. Oh, buffalo. Fuzzman Sparkles is wondering whether the wild dog pups would have left the den by now. I was just saying I hadn't seen buffalo in so long yesterday. Now we've just found a little breeding herd, and it's in the area where the Nkuhumas are. I wonder if they've caught another buffalo. But yes, the wild dog pups would have left the den by now. They leave quite young. At about 4 months, they're already mobile with the pack. There we go. Very small herd of buffalo. Now, even though we've got grass and whatnot. Now, Michael was asking James where all the buffalo were. There's zebra running in behind them, and none of them are looking relaxed. I wonder if the lions aren't somewhere behind. There's a herd of zebra stampeding in from the rear. And that is a very determined walk. I'm trying to listen if we can hear anything. Now, as we know, the Nkuhumas have been focusing on buffalo. Maybe the zebra's got a fright from something else. Just going to keep up with these buffalo for a little bit. The sound of a buffalo herd is like the sound, or to a lion, like the sound of the ice cream truck is to a small child. They seem to have slowed down a bit. Now Michael, there we go, they're the buffalo, not many. Now of course at this time of the year they do spread out a lot. But when you see a small group like this and as panicky as they're looking, and they could be part of a larger herd that has been separated by the kitty cats. Or they could be moving into a lion ambush. So we're not sure which direction the Nkumas have gone because of the rain. So these buffalo could quite easily be walking into their demise. You can see they still haven't picked up all the condition since from the drought. There's still some very skinny, very lame looking buffalo. You can see some of their legs not looking well. I'm trying to see if I can see any fresh scour marks from big cats on them. Not yet, but I think I might go check where they came from if we get no luck while following them now. So they've slowed down. Some impala up ahead as well. Now, buffalo and the hippo have probably been the two species hardest hit by the drought. Can we see any lions jogging in behind us? No, not yet. This is where we found the lions on foot yesterday, was right here. I'm just scanning on the edge there, almost hoping to see the flattened ears of Amber Eyes as she approaches to leap upon the back of a buffalo. You can see the mist and moisture in the air. So it looks like they're going to cut through the block towards Impala Plains. And we're going to do the same, but except we're going to go around on the road.
Alright, we've just come to Twin Dams, everybody, and what we're doing is waiting for the drone to get itself into the air. It's just arrived here. We'll show you Connor there. We're also hoping, of course, to find some tracks of Kurula, the queen, but she hasn't been seen around here, and so I think she's probably still down in the south. There is Connor. Let's see how quick he is to get his to get his little toy into the air. Come on, Connor, hurry up. Gee, look at the muscles in the man's shoulders. That's very impressive, eh? It really is quite something. You know, it's what it is to be young, David. To be young and vigorous. Liz, you say maybe we can use the drone to spot elephants and giraffe. Well, that is certainly the idea, Liz. Yesterday, I don't know if you were watching, everyone, but I said I thought we were not using the old drone. We were using the new, much more sophisticated one. That is not the case. The camera is giving us some difficulty on that one. So we are using the one that we used to use, that the drone commander, Andrew Francis, first gave us visual of. But it does very effective, and the sort of tying that in with Liz's comment. Sorry, I'm going to get back to you now. That is the Scimitar-bill. Did you see it fly across there, Dave? That's the yeah, it landed there, and that's the one that we saw in the nest yesterday, I think. on a tree not far from here on our bushwalk. What we're hoping with the more sophisticated drone, of course, has got a much sort of wider zoom on its camera, and that means that it will be much more successful at finding animals than this one currently is, although the pictures, I think, from this drone are utterly spectacular. So that was a Scimitar-bill, and it's got a nest not too far from the Hadeda's nest, which we'll go and have a look at right now. I'm just going to turn the car around. We're going to go to the front of the dam wall here and turn around. The drone commander seems to be climbing back into his vehicle, indicating that he's almost ready for takeoff. And I have to just turn around, I'm afraid. We'll be doing a 78-point turn here, everyone. We couldn't go any further forward. Television, isn't it, David? Right, there we go. It hasn't occurred just yet. We had a small deluge last night of about 10 millimeters of rain, which is about just slightly less than half an inch. It doesn't seem to have created a huge amount of flooding, which is, well, a good thing in some ways, not such a good thing in terms of the dams, but you can see the dam. Then over in front of us, as Connor flies down towards the east, the direction that you are him now, he's looking north, and then you're going down over what was the actual twin dams. When Mluati was drainage that you can see just below. That's the old dry riverbed, and I reckon that this must be one of the most picturesque parts of this reserve. And so a really good spot to be flying around on top of us. You can see the green ribbon, I'm sure, from where you are, that the Mluati drainage, the much taller trees. And what we're going to do is tree and see if we, oh, there we are. Davy's just going to create a picture of the Hadeda's nest. And there you can see us waiting patiently for the queen to emerge, or perhaps the hornbills to come and feed their babies in their nest not too far from here. There are some Egyptian geese not too far away as well. They had 7 youngsters. Looking at them now, they don't seem to have any right now. They're off to the what would be my left-hand side. So from the direction you're looking, yes, definitely your left-hand side as well from your picture. You won't be able to see them from all the way up there. Isn't that a wonderful extent of things that you can see there? That's so cool. There. Now, from the sort of, what will we say, almost in orbit height, we've come straight back down to Earth, and there, the Hadeda mum sitting on her little babies. And I think she's sitting on them on account of the fact that it's not that warm for little baby birds at the moment. They've just got their little downy feathers. That's all they have at the moment. And so she's sitting looking quite surprised by life, isn't she, David? She looks very much like she's shocked. Something's said something deeply offensive to her, and she's looking at us going, "You can't be serious." But we are serious. Yes, very. So that's the Hadeda nest. Now, I saw Mr. Hornbill land not too far from here. I'm just going to go a little bit further forward and show you his nest, because eventually these little things are going to come out. Now you know where it is, Dave? The second fork from the left. There's a slit. They're right in the middle of your picture there, yeah. Up a bit? Yeah. That one there, yeah. Down a bit. That funny slit there, believe it or not, is where the hornbill's nest is. There's a beak. You can just see the little... Is that a beak or is it a knot of wood? No, it's a knot of wood. But that is where the hornbill has been feeding its youngsters, and we haven't quite managed to catch it doing it yet. It flies in here with a caterpillar in its beak. The beak emerges from that little gap, grabs the caterpillar, and then disappears back inside. So I'm just going to wait here for 1 minute and see if Mr. Hornbill doesn't come back, because it really is quite fascinating how a bird the size of a hornbill got into a slit of the tree that size is almost completely beyond me. I do find it very amazing indeed. And then while we wait, what we will do from here, everybody, is probably continue sort of off towards the east and see what else we can find. I don't think Karula's come back north. We might also, I suppose, head across to Arathusa and see if we can't pick up on Shadow, who was seen yesterday. I'm glad she was seen. I got into big trouble the other day for calling her a tragic figure. But she is a rather tragic figure, and it's lovely to spend time with her and hope that before not too long she will have another baby maybe, and maybe this one she'll be more successful with. Hornbill is not coming back. He's not playing ball. Michael, good one from you. Another good one from you today. You want to know about parenting amongst the Hadedahs. Does one feed the chicks more than the other? Michael, I think yes, but I think because one of them sits at the nest most of the time. But they definitely both play a role, and they form a monogamous pair bond. Now, in this tree here, just you see the bottommost trunk is the hoopoe's nest. That's it, that's the hole. And the African hoopoo has a nest in there. And they seem to be less frequent visitors than the hornbills. So I've only seen them go in there once. I've never seen them come in again. Lots of lovely bird song. And then also, of course, Darby, I don't know if you can see, but the sun has just peeped out through the clouds over the top of the tree there. Hint, hint, that would be a nice shot. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. The king is pretty. Right, well, there we are. Not really sure where to drive at this. We'll avoid the riverbed. I think that might not be great signal. And we'll head up towards Mamba Road and go across there. Now, everybody, you can wave at Connor Teagues. Good morning, Connor.
Morning, Connor.
Sorry, good morning, Drone Commander.
Difficulties this morning. I'm pretty sure it's got something to do with the thunder, lightning and a little bit of rain we had last night. Hopefully they'll all be sorted, or there's an alien playing with our satellite. One of the two. I'm going to go, it's more likely to do with the rain, but you never know what's out there in space. Like you never know what's around the corner here on Djuma. Okay, so we make a big loop back towards where those buffalo came from, trying to see if there's any sign of the lions behind them. Now, it looks like the hippos had a good evening, wandering all about, and the only really fresh tracks I've seen, apart from the wild dog tracks that went back to the west, are hippo tracks. So probably from 4:30 this morning on their way back to their respective waterholes. Now, we are hoping to find some lovely lion tracks on top of the rain. But it is going to be quite a pretty morning as the sun fights its way through the cloud. Still lots of moisture in the air. And I'm hoping we're going to find the incredible Inkahumas shortly. But remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV if you'd like to ask us any questions. And again, do bear with us as we fight our way through our tech problems. Now, while we are driving through the greenery, hoping to spot a tawny cat, let's go to James, who's got an antelope.
More accurately, we have the back end of an antelope, and that is a Nyala. That was a Nyala. That was the best sighting ever, wasn't it, David? It was just fantastic. Let's just move a little forward. I was hoping that it wouldn't move off and that we might be able to get a shot of it with the drone so that you could see the perspective. But it's now moving off, so let's go and get a better look. We're on a road called Mamba Road, where mercifully I have yet to see a mamba. But I did have my first meeting with the Queen on this road, and I will show you the tree that it happened in, David. It is the marula tree off to the right-hand side there. It was in that tree, everybody, that the Queen and I met, and I made the dreadful mistake of calling her slightly pug-faced. Well, Twitter exploded that day. I haven't made that mistake again. Let's just go a little bit further forward. There's the Nyala, very cleverly hidden in amongst the strychnos trees. Two Nyala. Could there possibly be a third? Three Nyala? Bulls, all? One there, two off to the side here, in amongst the Strychnos madagascarensis. Moving forward again. Now the light is going to be very gorgeous as it breaks through the clouds here. There we go. Beautiful shot there. There we go. So some young bulls and one big bull trying desperately to graze, obviously right behind the tree where I've parked David. There we go. Just beautiful. Now, the sun is starting to poke through the clouds, like I said, which means that the water is starting to evaporate off the ground, the plants are starting to transpire, and that means that it's starting to get very close, very muggy indeed. It feels very tropical this morning. How that cannot be considered the most magnificent antelope we get out here, I just don't know. Aren't they spectacular? I just do apologize once again, everybody, for all the technical glitches we've had this morning. I think you'll find that it has quite a lot to do with the atmospheric conditions. Charged water particles or water vapor particles all over the place, and various other charged particles. Brent Leo Smith has managed to find a leopard tortoise. Let's go and see.
There we go. It's a massive leopard tortoise, probably over 50 years old. And here he marches off. And you can see those incredible feet of theirs. Isn't that amazing? So it's a male. We could just see that slightly concave belly. Look at that. So with the rain, lots of little bits of groundwater around, and lots of grazing around. So it's a good time to be a tortoise. Now, there's very few animals that are going to be able to crack open a tortoise of this age. He's got that massive armored shell around him, but hyenas could possibly, also ground hornbill might possibly be able to break open that carapace, but once they're this age, that carapace is so thick and well developed, it's going to be very, very difficult for any creature to get in there. So you see, interesting to see what he does now as he comes up towards that branch. I don't think he's going to be able to go under. We might just stop there for a graze. Now, I've just heard that the lion tracks have been discovered on the Buffelshoek cut line, a little bit further to the east from where we were checking. So we're going to head off towards that area to give Johanna a hand. Fingers crossed. Now, it sounds like those buffalo could have easily been highly mobile because of the lions. So we're going to think we'll do Gallagher shortcut and have a look there. Now, Tayla is out and about on foot, so let's go say good morning to her. Oh, it seems like you're still with us. So, welcome back, or you never left. So, as you can see, I've increased my speed slightly to try get towards that area where the lion tracks are. The tracks are on the northern boundary, so we don't want to dally about, and just in case they do decide to pop through to the north. And again, we do apologize for all the tech issues this morning. Hopefully they will be over soon. Okay, it seems like Tayla has put on her makeup and blow dried her hair, and she is now ready. So let's say good morning.
I've gone with the all-natural look today, and today I'm going to look like a marula tree. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our wonderful safari, or sunrise safari. I missed it this morning, though. Of course, my name is Tayla, and on camera with me, we've got Brian, and Herbert is out keeping us safe. Now, it's really nice there. It's actually quite a pleasant day to be walking. It's not too hot just yet. We've got nice cloud coverage, which is fantastic, except Brian and I are not looking forward to when the sun eventually peeps through those clouds. I suspect it's going to be another scorcher of a morning, but come with me, I have something to show you. Brent, only 15 minutes. Yes, only 15 minutes. We'll have to have a hair flicking competition one of these days. Cheers, Brent. Good luck with the lions. So we'll probably go and help Brent search for the lions at some point, and off he goes with his long blonde hair. His hair's looking a lot blonder, don't you think? Almost the same color as mine, but not quite. Obviously that bleach blonde summer look that's so trendy with the boys these days. But come and have a look what I found behind a piece of bark. I need to see if I can find it again. But before I even get there, have a look at this web that you can see on the tree. Now, this web belongs to a spider that I saw disappear just up and underneath this little piece of bark. Let's see if I can try and pull it away. And it's actually a naughty little spider, this one. Not my favorite kind, and one that I often used to find in my ponchos that I'd keep in my cruiser or whatever. Here we go. Come and have a look here. Let's see. Yeah. Oh no, where's it gone? Let me just keep. Been very naughty. It's run away. No, come out and show everybody. No. Okay, well, it doesn't seem to want to be seen. It was running around earlier anyway, but you can see by its web, it makes a little sack. And you often see these against your curtains if you're in South Africa. And it's a spider known as a sack spider, so it's quite white in color, almost a creamish color, with a very, very dark black face. Now, it's a spider. It's not medically important like a violent spider. So if it bites you, you probably won't have to go to hospital. However, you need to make sure that you keep that wound nice and clean, because it has a cytotoxin in its venom which causes necrosis. So when it bites you, what it will do is eventually the wound will go black and it will start to rot the skin. But because it's such a small, tiny little spider, you're probably not going to lose a limb if you keep it disinfected and keep it clean at all times. You'll be probably quite fine. Now, I have been bitten by one of these, and my brother, for some bizarre reason, attracts sack spiders, and he's been bitten a number of times. So you don't need to be silly like him. At 16, he was in boarding school. He got bitten by one of these, and he sort of shrugged it off his shoulders and carried on with his day until he came back home on holiday, and my mother noticed that he was limping. So of course, as a caring mother, said, "What's wrong? What's happened?" She said, "No, I just got bitten by a spider." So she thought, it's a bit suspicious, limping because of a spider bite. Well, he'd left it, and as a 16-year-old boy did, he didn't pay any attention to it, and he actually had to go to the doctor. And injection, I took him, got a couple of anesthetic injections, and they had to cut away quite a bit of the flesh on the wound. But like I said, he didn't lose a leg, but he had a hole cut out of his leg about that big, probably about the size of a South African 5 Rand coin or so. I want to see if I can find it. Brenda, good morning to you. Oh, I'm so sad the spider's gone inside its web again. Okay, I won't disturb it too much more. You were wondering if I've ever run into a venomous snake while being on a walk? Once. In 5 years, it's only ever happened to me once. And it's actually quite a funny story. So I was with a guide, and I think you may see him again by the name of FW, Evia. I used to work with him down in the southern Sabi Sands, and we'd gone on a walk together, and I was actually just backing him up with his guests. So he was on the lead walking around. The next minute, we all come to a halt, and out of this grass nest, so in summer the grass gets quite long, and the mice often make nests in the grass, so they weave it all down, and out came this big spitting cobra. So it just sort of sat up like that. It had obviously gone into this grass nest hoping that a mouse that had made it was going to come back, and well, it was going to come back to not a very exciting surprise, exciting for the snake. So it sat up, we all stood there, we backed away very slowly, and eventually the spitting Mozambique spitting cobra just crawled straight back into the nest in the grass, and well, we did a big round circle and we went the other way around. So that was quite an interesting experience. Otherwise, I've seen a couple of black mambas on game drive, which is, as you've seen, it's actually quite common. Other than that, not too many. You'd often see around the lodges sort of more the constrictors, so the brown house snakes and the spotted bush snakes, they're around, but they're not really anything to worry about. But what we're going to do now, we're going to carry on walking. We're actually going to change our route. We're going to go back east, and we're going to go give all the guards a hand and see if we can find these lions. Seeing as though we've got the best tracker in the field who's up in front, maybe we'll have a little bit of luck, and like I said, it'd be nice to give them a hand. So let's carry on going this way. We'll see if we can catch up to Herbert. But you know him, once he picks up on one track, there's no stopping him. Oh, there he is. Now, Diane, you're a little bit concerned about us being out here on foot. I promise you there's no need to worry. You were wondering what stops us from being attacked while we're out here. Well, common sense and a lot of training. Now, as you can imagine, when we are out in the bush, and some of our training sort of behind the scenes that you unfortunately don't get to see, is animal behavior is probably the most important thing, and then also picking up on the track and sign that the animals leave behind. So first thing you should do when you're walking, you're never walking really quickly. It's a sort of slow, casual pace. We're in the bush. We're out here to appreciate the smaller things. And by doing that, you're able to see a lot more. Therefore, you would see a footprint that an animal would maybe leave behind if you're lucky. Some of the animals have strong scents to them. If you've got the wind blowing in your favor, you'll probably smell that. Otherwise, you always walk, especially when you go through thick bush and you stop and you listen, you look around. You should be able to hear the crunching of an elephant pulling a branch or the shuffling of buffalo feet through the leaf litter, all those types of things. And when we're on foot, we don't want to get too close to the animals. Obviously, if there's maybe a natural drainage line between you or a big tree or something, and it's safe to view the animal on foot, you do. But as you've seen on a number of occasions with the other guides, it's not for a long period of time. It's just for short little minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then you move away. And then if it's a cat or something, then you call one of the guides in who have obviously in a vehicle, and they can show their guests that way. And you all know how close we can get to the animals then. So on foot, it's to find the small things, and that's what we're hoping to do this morning, as well as hopefully find those cats for everybody else. We're going to shoot back across to Brent though and see if he's picked up on anything more.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry, I'm just on the game drive radio for a second. Negative, yeah, no, I didn't get any updates from Nkoro. Okay, so I can't copy Nkoro from here. I'm a bit too far. Maybe James can check. He's a little bit further to the east, I think. Okay, so we're looking for the lion tracks, and I'm hoping that they haven't crossed across our northern boundary. Oh, no sign of anything here. Now, Jan said the tracks were up ahead here somewhere around Tumbuti Dam, so we're going to have a look there. Now, we're going to keep our eyes peeled. You never know. Quite often when you end up looking for lions, you spot a leopard, or vice versa. Now, we have to be very careful on this road. It's going to be quite difficult to see the tracks unless they step in sort of the softer edges. Hippo tracks. Hippo, hippo, hippo. Now this is the area where Han said he saw the first track, so I've slowed down a little bit, trying to make sure we don't miss any. So far, just that big hippo track you can see stretching up ahead. Some hyena tracks. Still no sign of the lions. Well, good morning Ian and Kira, who are 9 and 6 years old. So wonderful to have you with us. Now, they'd like to know, are animals more or less active after the rain? Well, it depends on what animal you are. A lot of the birds will definitely be more active this morning, and also quite a few of the herbivores. Now there's a bit of a green flush, they might get moving. But I'd say in general, as a general, a lot of animals are more active after the rain. So far, just hyena tracks and hippopotamus tracks. Maybe Johan was referring a little bit further to the east for the lion tracks. It's quite pleasant to have a slightly cooler morning. It means the lions, fingers crossed, are hopefully still on the move when we find them. Or if we find them. There are no guarantees in the live safari game. Voila! There we go. So tracks of at least 2 adult lionesses. I haven't seen any tracks of the cubs just yet. There is a one cub track there, but it's quite faint. Heading towards the east, fingers crossed they don't head to the north. Now it's amazing how nice and clear these tracks are. I would say pretty fresh. Sometime early this morning. So hopefully we're going to be able to find the kitty cats. Sometimes staring at the ground pays dividends. Okay, now, I'm going to try to figure out the tracks are looping up and down and around here. So I'm going to try to do some investigating, see which way they go. But really, really exciting. James is with an animal that we haven't seen in quite a while.
There you can see a grey shape, everybody, an elephant, which is just too wonderful for words. I love seeing elephants, of course, especially when we don't see them all the time. But we're not alone here, and so although that shot of the elephant is a particularly poor one, and that is not on account of any incompetence on David's part, we do have another picture of the elephants, with any luck, from the air. And there you can see us, and you can see, with any luck, 2 elephant bulls, 2 young elephants, grazing their way through this recently moistened woodland. Can we see the elephants, Kirsten? We can kind of see the elephants. Okay, that's all right. I think Connor can probably come down a little bit. He can drop about 10 meters or so, and I think you'll probably get a slightly better view of them. There, you can see it zooming in on us slightly now. So this, of course, is DC Teagues' first flight with animals and the drone. DC, of course, stands for Drone Commander. Did you get that? Well done, David. Oh, hooray, now we can see the elephants moving. That's excellent. And again, I mean, you saw how thick the bush looked from where we were sitting. We looked through a kind of impenetrable thicket of different kinds of trees, but from the air you can see the trees are a lot more sparsely spaced than they look from the ground, and therefore you can see the elephants. Now with our new drone, eventually we'll be able to zoom in on them from the air, which is marvelous. And you can see the drone, most importantly, is having no effect at all on the behavior of the elephants. And that's because Connor is being very sensitive with them as well. I'm just watching the clouds now moving in over the top of the drone. And it is quite amazing to watch the speed at which the clouds are moving with the drone there. Connor is being very brave about the distance that he's flying that thing. That's so cool. Ah, this is wonderful. So now you can see the elephants beautifully, and it's flying in quite a storm. I cannot see the elephants anymore. They've gone much too far away from us. So we can't see them at all. We're totally based on Connor's perspective of things here. So these bulls are now dispersed from the greater groups of elephants. The elephants, because there is standing water, there's food all over the place now, are starting to disperse around the place, and we're going to have less regular sightings of them, but that's just the way the summer goes, and that's absolutely fine. What a joy to see them from the air like that. Isn't that fantastic? Let's have one last look at the Wahlberg's eagle there. And that Wahlberg's eagle, I think, looks a little bit miserable, sitting out watching the weather rolling in, and it's being bombed by white-crowned shrikes, who seem to have left it alone now. It's watching the drone quite carefully. That's interesting. And of course, we nearly lost this drone to a battalier a little while back. Battalier took great offence and gave it a bit of a smack. Beautiful. Now we're not going to move from this current position. We are going to probably go offline slightly for the next little while we try to fix our signal issues on young Jigger here. Dory, very good question. You say, is that drone loud? We can hear it. It's not what you would describe as silent, no. It sounds like an angry swarm of bees, and that's why we fly it very high up. And the idea is eventually, with the much more sophisticated drones, we'll have cameras that are able to sort of zoom in, like I was explaining, and we can fly them that much higher, and then you won't be able to hear them. The trick is, look, it's not a train smash with it. We can hear it. We know it's a drone, so it's not a train smash to hear the noise. It does become difficult, though, when animals start to react to it, and the idea is that animals don't react to it at all. It just becomes totally silent overhead view of the bush. And those elephants didn't react to it, which was great. We have had incidents, of course we've had to try it, where elephants do look up and they get a little bit upset, and so you've got to move away quite quickly because you do not want to be chasing animals with it. So yes, we can hear it. Is it disturbing the animals? No, not at that height. I mean, Connor was probably... I think he was probably 70 meters or so up, so that's probably about 250 feet up into the air. So it just sounds like a fairly angry swarm of bees flying overhead. Right, Tayla McCurdy is out on foot. Let's go and find out what she's looking at right now.
So we've been turning up logs, we've been trying to find all sorts of different little creatures and critters to show you this morning, and well, Herbert, nothing is stopping him this morning. It seems as though the lions have crossed out the property. He found us a tiny little centipede. Can you see it there? I'm going to just try and move it just slightly. Don't go into a burrow. I'm going to see how big it really is. Come on. Now it's obviously quite tiny. I'm just trying to move the soil off it. There we go. It's a better view of it. Now it's really, really, really small. It's probably, I don't know, how big would you say that is, Brian? Tiny? Tiny. We're going to use tiny as a form of measurement, and you can see that it's actually trying to burrow in underneath the earth. Because it's so small, it's quite vulnerable, and even though they are armed with little fangs that will give you, or not fangs, but they'll give you a nasty little bite, and they can be venomous. I'm not sure what exactly this species of centipede is, but I'm sure there's a couple of hundred different ones, and I'm sure that it's probably going to try and get underneath the ground as quick as possible, because something like a little bird, perhaps a starling, oh, there it goes, that would be a lovely, delicious and nutritious meal. Well, that was the end of that. I'm going to put its little log back on top of it. There we go. Bye-bye, centipede. Okay, so we've got a request this morning, which is quite nice, and we might actually have a good chance of finding one of those. So James would like us to keep an eye out and see, another way sneaky, if we can find an African giant land snail. Now, I haven't seen one in such a long time. Hopefully I remember what they actually look like. And well, we know they're not the fastest moving creatures, so hopefully if we do find even its trail, maybe we'll be able to follow it and track it. We'll have to put Herbie's sort of test his tracking skills to the test. Oh, look at this, a little millipede. This is what I love. You can literally, especially after the rains, just walk and walk and walk look at a shrub and look at this magnificent millipede that is crawling on the shrub. And you'll probably find that it maybe seeked a little bit of shelter underneath this sort of entanglement of branches. And now it's come out, but seen as though the rain has disappeared. And this is probably one of the critters that we were talking about yesterday, and we were slightly concerned about which insects, particularly burrowing insects, will be affected by the rain and, well, get their burrows flooded. So I suspect it's come out of a burrow underneath the ground, or maybe underneath a fallen log, and come out to dry itself and probably look for something to eat. Or whichever type of bird call you want to do. But that means that he's found something, so we're going to head over there, which is just a short walk away, and it sounds like it could be something excited because he's got a big smile. So let's go and have a little look and see what he's got for us. But it's lovely out here. It seems as though we've just had the perfect amount of rain. Not sure how much, probably just shy of maybe 10 mils, maybe even a little bit less than that. I could be giving it a bit more than what we actually had last night. But it's perfect. It was a soaking rain. The soil is nice and moist. It hasn't washed away any of the roads, which is wonderful. What have you got, Herbie? He's running after something, my goodness. Let's go around here. What did you get, Herbert? Trying to get a solifuge. Solly the solifuge. Oh, it's a big one. Oh, that is massive. So Herbert is that's fine, Herbie. There we go. Settle down now. Thank you. Well done. Well spotted. That is massive. Oh my goodness. Right, I'm going to try and move this. Where did he go?
Just there. Keep it there.
Okay, I'm not going to move it. He is huge. He's probably about the length of my hand. I'm trying to see where he's gone, but that's okay as long as you can see him. And if he does come running underneath this piece of marula tree, I'm probably going to scream. No, I'm just teasing. I won't do that. But this is a massive solifuge and quite fat, so I'm wondering if it's perhaps not a female, because we don't often see them so big and so plump. What do you think, Brian? Does it look quite fat to you?
I can't really see it right now.
Oh, must I move it a bit more? Oh, there it is. Ah, it's eating the termites. Come and have a look at this. So what's happened here, well, it was eating the termites, is that there's obviously quite a bit of fresh soil, and the termites were living underneath this piece of marula wood, feeding away. So it disappeared again. Okay, we need to lift it again. And they love to eat termites. Now, I just don't want to get my finger nipped by anything. There it is. Coming back out again. Don't worry, I promise we will put it back again, but it's it's racing around. Oh my goodness. The solifuge is obviously not being very kind to Brian this morning, but you can just sort of see it there seeking a bit of shelter. So what we will do is we probably won't disturb it for too much longer. It looks as though it's not the happiest at the moment, and these solifuges are predominantly nocturnal, so probably a bit bright out here. Luckily there's not a strong sun. Look at the lizard, the gecko, just on the underside of this. Can you see it? It's coming out. Look at what else we've just spotted that was living underneath the bark of this marula tree. Now I'm trying to get a better view, but from over here it looks like it's one of the geckos, maybe a tropical house gecko. And how I can tell that it is a gecko is that if you look at those toes, you can see how fat they are, and that's very, very typical of a gecko. Those big eyes. And they will also eat a number of different things. They'll eat spiders, so they're quite nice to have in your room. They'll eat moths. They'll eat grasshoppers. They'll really eat anything that they can catch. Look at that beautiful eye. Isn't that absolutely amazing? And it looks like quite a young one still. They can probably get to about 3 times the size that this one is. Probably the length of your middle finger, if you use that, the longest finger on your hand. That's probably the length of it from the tip of its head and right down to its tail. And look at those lovely colorations that it has. Oh, there's another one. Look.
Yeah, I can see it.
Ah, okay, there was another one that was about 3 times that size, but it's now run away. This is exciting. It's amazing what you can find though, all at one little sort of fallen over marula. Now, Brian, you were wondering if the gecko would eat the solifuge. Now, not this little one, and I don't know if they'd probably take on a solifuge of this size, but I suspect a solifuge that was maybe smaller, like some of the other little ones that we've seen, would probably, of course, definitely take an opportunity to eat something like that. Now, I can't tell you how much is actually going on over here. We've obviously got this beautiful gecko that's just staring away at us, enjoying its debut on Safari Live. And I must admit, it's the first gecko I've seen since I've been here. I haven't seen too many of them. My favorite is actually when you see them walking up on the glass on a window, and you can look at them from the other side. Sometimes you can actually see the inside of the organs. Now, Ruth, you were wondering what the differences are between a chameleon and a gecko. So if you look at a chameleon, the most obvious thing that you see as it disappears is they've got those big beautiful eyes which they are able to rotate around. Also, they have eyelids. They are able to blink. I don't know if you noticed, but that entire time that we were looking at that gecko, did you see it blink once? Brian, did you see it blink? Didn't see it blink at all. Not all those gecko species have eyelids. Some of them actually have to stick their tongues out onto their eyelid to remove the debris and pop it back in. So that's one of the differences, is their eyes. Also, straight away you can see that their feet are completely different structure. So geckos, they've got little sort of, I suppose you could say, hooks on the underside of the pads on their feet, which allows them to grip onto all sorts of things and walk up different surfaces, whereas a chameleon probably wouldn't be able to walk up a window. It'd be a little bit too steep for them. So chameleons are different, and chameleons are also very lateral, vertical and sort of lateral and compressed, so that when a bird or something is flying overhead, they look down onto the branch, and the chameleon sort of fits in quite nicely with the branch, whereas a gecko or any